What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to Down to the Wire. I'm Brian Costa.
I'm John Warren.
And we have a great episode in store for you guys today. We are going to be breaking down the Boston Celtics Game 3 victory over the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals. We're going to be talking about Draymond Green and all his antics getting out of control, basically kind of ate his words as he fouled out in Game 3. We're going to be talking about Steve Kerr and Klay Thompson's, calling out the Boston crowd for their FU Draymond chants, and that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg there. We'll talk about the impact of Steph Curry getting hurt late in the game. And then we will also jump over into baseball news and cover, not just on the MLB level, but on, the MLB, the college level, kind of all levels of, just umpires really injecting themselves in the game and getting way too involved. It's become just a really, really bad problem at this point. So I'm really, really glad to have the opportunity to talk about it with John today. However, we do have a special guest on the program today. He is a gentleman who I have known for a good amount of time now at this point. We actually had the privilege to play summer baseball with each other back in the day. And he is now, going to be going on to college himself. He's going to be pitching at MCLA this fall. So, without any further ado, please welcome to the show, Mr. Jaden Palumbo. Jaden, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad to have you on the show. Obviously get your take on it as someone who's going to be going on to compete in baseball at the next level. So we'll get your take on umpires and all that stuff a little down the line. But I know obviously yourself, we're just the town over from each other here. So I know you're a pretty big Boston sports guy yourself. Give me your opinion. What were your thoughts on the Celtics Game 3?
To be honest, didn't watch it till the second half.
Fair enough.
And then, I don't know, I saw Draymond foul out. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Then that chant was kind of crazy. That was kind of crazy. I didn't realize what they were saying at first. I had to turn the TV up, and I was like, "Oh, damn,
it got pretty intense. I mean, John, your thoughts. I mean, I know you were watching the game from time to time too. Just even just from the highlights of what you were seeing, what were your thoughts?
So I think the Celtics kind of just are a much better athletic team all around, despite the third. I believe we're plus 40 in every single quarter but the third. So, it's kind of a crazy stat. But up 2-1. Huge game on Friday coming up. Jason Tatum's taking on more of a I would say leader position, kind of working his way in, but also passing the ball out to his teammates to make open shots. And, when they do, like Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown having a monster game, really just puts the pressure on Steph and Klay and Jordan Poole to really produce.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, they've been, completely dynamic so far. At least, Tatum and Brown are. Jaylen Brown had an incredible start to last night's game. I mean, was just rattling shots off left and right and was completely unstoppable early on. So, Tatum, kind of started off a little bit slower, got things going in the end. I think he had about 10, 11 points at halftime. And then by the end, he had 26. So put together a good half for himself. But the story for the most part really is just the fact that the Warriors couldn't come through in this game. I mean, Game 2, they had the Celtics figure it out a lot. They had them frustrated, really just not able to compete out there. And a lot of people thought that the Warriors were going to be able to, just really capitalize that on this Game 3. A lot of people, that had the Warriors winning the series, had them winning this game, mostly because in the last couple finals, I think it's an 82% of the time when the series is tied 1-1, the next team to win Game 3 goes on to win those finals. So, a lot of people were saying the Warriors are going to, step up and take the authority there, but obviously it just wasn't the case there. What do you guys think was the biggest factor in the Celtics probably taking it?
Celtics defense.
Yeah.
They've been unstoppable for quite some time now.
Yeah, I would say the turnovers, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, the turnovers were huge. I mean, we had way too many turnovers in Game 2. That cost us so much. I mean, it was really bad in Game 2. So the fact that we were able to shore that up and, make Golden State kind of have those mistakes in Game 2 was pretty big. For the most part, though, it's the fact that just I saw, I think it was Wilbon, or it was Brian Windhorst, I think, who said it for ESPN. And he basically said, Steph Curry now is basically feeling what LeBron James felt when LeBron James was playing the Golden State Warriors all those years ago, to where he was the best player on the lesser team. And Steph Curry is probably still the best player on the court. I mean, he is able, at least when healthy, does incredible things. He's up until this point, he was having, some people were saying, the best statistical finals of his career so far. And he just doesn't have the talent around him to really capitalize on it. The Celtics are, like you said, a much more athletic team. They do more with the basketball. And just the Warriors at this point, a lot of them are older now. Klay Thompson has been worn down by those 2 leg injuries. Draymond Green just doesn't even look like he can be in the league anymore. It's atrocious what he's doing out there. So, I think that's the factor too. It's the fact that, the Celtics just athletically, just getting up and down the court, they just have that ability. They have the ability to do that at a more aggressive pace.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, even injured Rob is still really just out there like one-legged, running the floor.
An injured Rob Williams has probably been the most dynamic defender on the court, which is saying something, because we haven't seen Robert Williams at full strength since he went down with that meniscus injury early on in the season. So the fact that he's not at full strength, it's just a testament to how good he is as a player. So, yeah, obviously the big story though, let's not hide ourselves from it. It's Draymond Green and the antics he's been causing. Obviously he's been just just a loose cannon lately, to say the least. I mean, he went out in game 2 and, basically decided he wanted to go back to his Michigan State football days, decided he wanted to go out tackling guys, had his feet on Jaylen Brown's head, was trying to pull his shorts down from time to time. It's like, what is this guy doing? And at that point in the game, he already had one tech in game 2. And it was like, are they going to call something on this guy? Like, what are they going to do? And the refs didn't do anything to it. And after the game, Draymond said, yeah, you know what? I've gotten to the point in my career to where I can get this kind of preferential treatment. And I'm like, preferential treatment? I'm like, dude, what is your problem? Oh my God. And, he says this and I'm like, all right, he really wants to boast this up. And what does he do in game 3? I have his stat line for you. 2 points on 1-4 shooting, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists.
How many minutes did he play?
35.
Ooh.
Yeah. So 35 minutes, and that's the stat line that he puts up. So he was not performing well at all. And obviously with Draymond Green, points necessarily isn't what you're looking for out of him. I mean, obviously it's a pretty decent part of his game, but on the rebounding and passing, and that's where you like to see him. Obviously Steph Curry runs the point on this team, but Draymond Green at times can be a point forward for this group, and he can really, get this offense going. He wasn't able to do that in this game, and he just completely just looked defeated out there. I mean, he was still causing problems, was getting in Grant Williams' face saying, oh, you'll never be me, but you want to be me. And I'm like, what are you doing, man? It's ridiculous. And, it's just, I don't know.
Dude, he was like arguing hella when he got fouled out last night. Like that was crazy.
Oh my God. After getting fouled out, he went on like a full on tantrum.
Yeah, that was bad. That was just childish.
Yeah, I mean, just like it's almost what Pat Beverly does to an aspect, but Pat Beverly can kind of shoot the ball. It's just he's younger too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's almost that intimidation factor that he's trying to bring. My favorite one was when he called out all the 80s and 90s basketball players. And then the Celtics guy,
Cedric
Maxwell said, ask your daddy who I am. Because he said I beat him, or like he was like, I like am a finals MVP. So he's like, yeah, put some respect on my name.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, and that's the thing too. Draymond Green does this stuff and he gets away with it because of the league that we play in nowadays. If Draymond Green played in the league with Larry Bird, Bill Laimbeer, just Dennis Rodman, any of those guys, just that could go down low and could battle with him, he would get the crap kicked out of him in a heartbeat. He would not last in that league. And the thing too is that those guys did it, and of course they had their ways of playing a little dirty too. But there was also like a style to the way they could play, and they could do some things aggressively. Some were they probably getting preferential foul treatment? Of course. I mean, that's just kind of how the NBA has always been, to where those guys get it and you earn it at a certain point. But you kind of have to hide it a little bit better than that, than the way Draymond Green's been doing it. I mean, on one box out play, he literally grabs Jason Tatum's neck and just wrings it back. And I'm like, okay, like you're not even hiding it at this point. Like, what are you doing? I mean, it's gotten so bad. And I'm like, I can't do it anymore. It's ridiculous with him.
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta not let it get to your head, like Jaylen Brown was saying, and just keep going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's the way you kind of deal with it.
But that's the issue, though, is that
just gotta take the high road.
Yeah, but that's the issue, though, is that a lot of this stuff can get to your guys' head. Is that what I was trying to say is that a lot of the times this has been getting to the Celtics players' heads. You've seen Jaylen Brown have an outburst at him, at Draymond Green. You've seen Grant Williams go toe to toe with him, and it's like, all right, I appreciate these guys stepping up and defending their turf and not letting Draymond get the last word. But at a certain point, you can't let him get in your head and, play these mind games with you. I mean, obviously, Jaden, you're going to be going on to play college ball and play at a higher level. John, you play college football over at Mass Maritime. Obviously, there's a certain dynamic to that back and forth of competition. But, when in your mind, you kind of decide to like dial it back. John, I'll start with you.
So this gonna, I guess, you could really just bring it back to high school, honestly, when we were playing Assabet in our championship game. And one of my friends, like, he got hit pretty hard. He had to take off his helmet. He was just puking all over the field and everything else. And this other guy just kept literally shoved him over. And it got so bad that there was literally a fight in the stands between parents just over this because just the player didn't like him. And then there's also, like defensively, like you just have to do that then like after, and it's kind of back and forth. I mean, granted, it's a little bit different, I'm sure, in baseball rather than football because, well, football is an aggressive game, especially when you're on the defensive side as a linebacker.
And it's also very hands-on in comparison to baseball.
Yeah,
a lot of the times you're separated from these guys.
Yeah. So in baseball, you mean like if someone really like pisses you off, like if you're a pitcher, for instance, you'll throw inside or you'll try to like hit them or beam them in the chest or like the ribs just to kind of let them know. That's about as much as you can do. But I know certainly in football, like especially with a running back, when you're down in the trenches, the D lineman will twist your leg. They'll try to grab you, do different stuff, poke your eye sometimes. I mean, the worst one I ever saw was in college football when this linebacker I knew completely like laid out this guy on the other team, clean hit, was fine. But yeah, literally the next play, since he was a two-way player, he was a fullback on a play. He comes in and the guy literally, he gets off the field and this guy just like laid him out on the side of the field and concussed him, and like he tore his like what was it? It's your labrum.
Okay.
Completely tore his labrum somehow.
Wow.
And yeah, that was just like crazy.
Yeah.
Just
so
like
I mean,
cheap hits like that.
Yeah. So I mean, Draymond Green, at least in an NBA equivalent, has kind of been that kind of guy. He's going to be like throwing the leg out there. I remember he used to say that it was part of his shooting form when he would just throw the leg and kick it out there on certain guys. So,
yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's a part of his game now at this point. Jaden, I'll get to you as well. Obviously, you've kind of probably in your time dealt with players that have kind of played dirty, there's a difference. I feel like between playing dirty and then playing tough.
Yeah. Well, you saw it on Tuesday when that kid, I would go to cover first base and that kid just completely like that. I feel like that happens a lot more.
Describe it a little bit, because obviously I saw it, but the people watching.
You're right. I shouldn't do that. Yeah. But I was pop fly to second base, and the first baseman thought he had a chance at it, went to go catch it. So I do my job. I go to cover first, and I'm standing there I don't know. Was I in the way? I didn't think I was in the way. Was I kind of in the base pass?
I mean, you were covering the base. You were doing your thing, and it was also a lazy fly ball to second base.
Exactly, and he comes over. I feel him double hands push. I hit the deck, and that happens a lot. That wasn't the first time that happened this year. It happened against, I think it was Grafton that happened to me. I don't know. I guess.
Yeah. I mean, stuff like that is going to happen, and unfortunately, it's in all aspects of sports. And listen, I mean, I'm definitely the last person to be able to be like, oh, the game's getting too hard now. I like guys that can be hard nosed and go out there and fight, but there's a certain point to guys that are tough and are going to, really, give you your money's worth, and guys like Draymond Green who just, aren't, who are just dirty players. It's like a Grayson Allen kind of thing, to where, Grayson Allen isn't tough. He just plays dirty and is able to, expose people that way. So that's kind of the way I've always seen a guy like Draymond Green. The one thing I'll say about him is that when with those Warriors teams, he helps make those really good teams great because of what he adds to the team. And, I know that he adds more than just playing dirty, and I know he's a better player than just that, but that's kind of become the characteristic of his game now, especially with the Warriors making these finals after, after the Warriors dynasty, as we knew it from the late 2010s kind of has ended. So that's the way I kind of look at it there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. But obviously Draymond Green, he kind of got what he deserved for the most part for saying the refs weren't going to do what he did. They weren't going to call him. They obviously did. They fouled him out of the game, had a whole kind of just debacle over that. But then after that all transpired, Steve Kerr and Klay Thompson basically addressed the media after the game. And like we said in the opening of the show, there were some F you Draymond chants that were echoing throughout the TD Garden pretty heavily. And Steve Kerr and Klay Thompson basically said that, Kerr called the chants just classy in an ironical sense. And then Klay said, quote, "We've played in front of rude people before, dropping F-bombs with children in the crowd. Real classy. Good job, Boston." I don't know where Klay Thompson has ever been before, but to say this in front of a Boston crowd is about the stupidest thing you can ever do. I mean, I don't know about you, but Game 4 is going to be a nightmare for the Golden State Warriors when they step on the court on Friday. I don't know about you, John, but I mean, the fact that they fired up the crowd this much, it's going to be ruthless. I mean, it's going to be 10 times worse. I hope it doesn't get to the point where, we saw stuff like like water bottles get thrown at Kyrie or things like that happen. Obviously, there's a certain line that you cross with certain chants, and I hope that the Boston crowd is smart enough not to do anything like that. But God forbid. I mean, the freaking Warriors, they egged it on. I'm like, you have no idea. This is what sports cities from the Northeast do. I saw a TikTok about it. Philly, New York, and Boston are known for being this ruthless to fans of other teams and just players in general. So
they do.
It's going to be really bad
too. I think that needs to be added in, because especially when you'll see like Red Sox players on like a cold streak or anyone, they'll get booed too.
Yeah,
you'll boo your own team.
No, I mean it's terrible. It's terrible. So I mean, Jaden, what do you think? What do you think we're going to be looking at for Game 4? How bad do you think it's going to be?
It's going to be rough for the Warriors. I think that it's going to give the Celtics a ton of momentum immediately. One alley-oop to Rob Williams, and that crowd's going to go crazy.
I agree. That place has the chance to really go nuts. I mean, it's going to be pretty scary if they really do get going there. I'm just excited for what's to come in this series. I mean, the fact that they did say that, and they did kind of just give the Celtics and Celtics fans this bulletin board material, I think this really could help swing the series. And I think that for the Celtics, that's, the best thing that you can ask for, because traditionally, and in these games, throughout the playoffs, the Celtics, I think they've won two in a row a couple times throughout the series. But traditionally they've won one game big, and then the next game they kind of go out, they're a little too opportunistic, and then they make too many mistakes and they fall by the wayside that next game. That's kind of what I felt like happened in Game 2 and has happened in other games throughout the series. Another good example of that is Game 6 versus the Heat, where they had two great wins in that series back to back. They had a chance to end it in Boston and they didn't. I really hope that those comments by Klay and Steve Kerr really just rile up the Celtics fans enough to power the team to a victory, and also kind of get behind the Celtics players themselves and basically say, all right, these guys are now coming after us. All right, they think we're all this. Let's go out there and beat them up.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is kind of a must-win game, because if they tie it up 2-2 going into Golden State, I think they win in Golden State. I think the Celtics win at home, but the game 7 in Golden State with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson kind of scares me.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. We don't know what the case is going to be with Steph Curry right now. So obviously, late in the game, Steph Curry had Al Horford fall on his ankle and basically was seen kind of hobbling off the court. Steve Kerr kept him on the court for a little bit and has said in a post-game press conference that Curry's fine. He'll be A-okay. I don't know about that. I mean, Steph Curry's had injuries like this before, and it's come back to haunt him. So how do you think, what kind of an impact will that have going forward? I mean, how much of Steph Curry, let me rephrase this. I'm basically, what percentage of Steph Curry healthy can the Warriors afford to have to win this thing?
I think Steph's just going to be healthy in general. I mean, Al Horford didn't he apologized. Steph Curry understood that Al Horford was just going for the ball. It's Al Horford. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
36, just trying to win a finals.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think he was just going for a rebound and they got caught up. Steph kind of jammed his ankle up a little bit. I'm sure Steph will be fine. I mean, I don't think it's going to impact him that much. And if it really is something deeper than that, then I think the Warriors are in big trouble.
No, yeah.
Because if that means Jordan Poole is your number one and that guy is a liability defensively. But yeah, I mean, then you're really relying on him, Klay Thompson, and Andrew Wiggins to really just pick up the slack. So
yeah,
I mean,
it could be a huge loss for the Warriors. Obviously, it's your star player. If Jason Tatum goes down, that kind of be a wrap for the Celtics in this series. So, the Warriors are definitely in trouble if Curry is hurt. I mean, if he's not, here's the thing. I mean, Curry at this point, I've said it a couple times. Steph Curry right now is the equivalent of F it Tyreek's down there somewhere. So, I think that, they need him to be kind of healthy, have him run around, make those crazy shots. Hopefully he is able to do that. But I mean, this could really help swing the series as well. Jaden, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it goes back to that fine line of hustling and being a dirty player, because Al Horford obviously was not trying to, that's a pure example of just hustling.
Yeah.
But I think if Curry can't go drop 30 or at least 25, I don't think the Warriors will win.
No.
They rely on Steph so much to just go out and do crazy, crazy things that if he isn't healthy enough to do it, I don't think they'll have a chance, especially with that crowd.
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be huge going into Game 4. Game 4 is definitely going to be one for the ages, I think, in Boston. Hopefully they're able to come through and actually, pull this one out. But for you guys, what are your guys' thoughts on Game 4? Who do you think is going to win it?
I got to go with the Celtics.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think momentum-wise, Celtics.
Yeah. All right, John, what about you?
Well, I mean, you got to say Celtics. But, it's all depending, I think, on really how much we carry that shooting. Because if we can really carry that shooting, it seems like it's been off on, off on, off on. If we can at least manage the turnovers, that's a big thing. And yeah, I mean, it also depends on the refs we get that night, because the other night we got the extender. He's famously known for extending games to come down to the last
Foster.
minute. Yeah, he's literally known for that. So, I mean, we'll see, really. I mean, I think the Celtics should win. I mean, realistically, every single game we've played, we've either won or we've made ourselves lose. You can blame the loss to Golden State on turnovers and Steph Curry and Jordan Poole not missing a shot for the entire third quarter. So, I mean, yeah, there's that too. So it really just depends on that. And Al Horford, I guess, really just trying to manage. I say he's the big piece. Just keep Tice off the floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, to keep Tice off the floor at all costs. If I'm going to go with a team, the last time I did one of these predictions, I went with the Warriors just because, the Celtics won Game 1. I felt that they were going to get heady. I thought that they were, going to get a little too ahead of themselves and fall behind. That was my fear. This is different, though. I think that the impact of the crowd being fired up by Klay and Steve Kerr is going to be a big factor. And I think the potential injury of Stephen Curry. I mean, whether he's out, if he's out on the court, that's huge for them. But if he's not 100% able to run around and is basically just resorted to a spot up shooter role, that's not what the Warriors are going to need to win this finals. The Celtics athletically are just going to outmatch them the entire way. So I'm going to go with the Celtics here. Do you guys think it's going to be on the side of, more of the blowout kind of loss that we've seen these past couple of games, where the Warriors blew the Celtics out? What was it, like 107-88? And then the Celtics win by 16 points in this game. Do you think it's going to be around that realm, or do you think it's going to be relatively close?
So
I think it'll be.
Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of close, but I think the Celtics win.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a lot closer. I think the Celtics have the ability to gut it out at this point, so I'm confident in them going forward. Jaden, you?
I think it's going to be close if Steph Curry can go do what Steph Curry does, but if he's not 100%, it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, I agree. So hopefully the Celtics can prove all our predictions right and go forward in Game 4. We wish them the best of luck. But we are now going to move on into MLB news, rather actually just baseball news in general, and cover some news going on there. Jaden, I'm glad I got you on the show for this because, obviously John and I played some baseball back in the day. You're currently in the middle of some baseball going on right now. Obviously, just wrapped up your high school season, but are now going into a summer ball season. So you have plenty of experience right now with umpires and all the troubles that they can cause. They can always be kind of a handful. Not even with calling accurate balls and strikes. That's a whole nother battle. And, you can argue for it. I mean, listen, for me, I'm just like, if it's consistent, I'll take it. If you're going to give them that strike call, you better give me that strike call when my pitcher's on the mound. That's kind of the way I look at it. So if it's consistent, I'm generally okay with it. If it's really bad though, I'm like, okay, like let's address this. But for the most part, balls and strikes is what it is. Angel Hernandez sucks at his job. We all know this by now. So let's just get on with it. There have been two really incidents lately of umpires outside of pitch calls injecting themselves into the game and kind of just becoming the star of the show in a sense. One incident happened on the MLB level. It was a game between the Houston Astros and the Kansas City Royals. It was in Kansas City, and Vic Carapazza was the home plate umpire. I really hadn't heard about this guy much. Probably if I'm not really too big on umpires, but I know about guys like Angel Hernandez, obviously, because of him being infamous at this point. Joe West is one of those guys. Jerry Meals is a guy I've heard about as well a couple times, but Vic Carapazza, haven't really been too big on him. And for the most part, from what I've heard in this game, he called a pretty accurate strike zone. Wasn't too much complaints going on that end. However, where he kind of got himself involved in the news was later in the game, literally with 2 outs in the ninth inning. The Astros are ready to put away the Kansas City Royals. Michael A. Taylor for the Royals is at the plate, and 2-0 count. Ryan Presley throws a ball, misses inside, doesn't hit Michael A. Taylor, but just runs inside on him. 3-0 count. And Vic Carapazza all of a sudden comes out from behind home plate, starts walking towards the mound to issue Ryan Presley a warning. Presley's like, "Are you kidding me? Like, I missed inside. Like, there's no way I did this purposely." And all of a sudden, Carapazza just goes toe-to-toe with him. Martin Maldonado tries to go out to break it up. And before you know it, the Astros closer is ejected from the game with 1 out to go. Everyone got all up in arms on this. And, people were wondering, why did he do this? Why did he do this? The previous inning, Yordan Alvarez, the DH for the Astros, was hit on a slider. And I guess Vic Carapazza thought that the Astros were retaliating for this hit by trying to throw inside on Michael A. Taylor rather than get the final out of the game. This whole incident has just been ridiculous. It's just one of those incidents where guys are just injecting themselves in the game. Jaden, obviously, I'll start with you. You have the relevance of playing some baseball so far. Just how annoying is it when these umpires get themselves way too involved?
It's annoying, especially like you can tell when somebody's throwing at somebody. Nobody's gonna retaliate on an 87-mile-an-hour slider that hit you in the bottom of the 8th inning. They're just trying to go out there. He's trying to pitch inside, jam him, get a double play or something with 1 out to go. Like, I don't know. That pisses me off when umpires do that. Gets going.
Yeah, pretty much. Presley ended up saying, like, I'm human. I'm gonna miss inside on guys. I'm not trying to hit a guy there. And listen, when you're trying to hit a guy or even just throw inside, it's gonna be in a more direct place than that. So, I mean, I thought that was kind of BS right there. John, did you end up seeing the play at all, or?
Yeah, so I ended up watching the replay of the play, and I think honestly it would have been impressive if he hit him with the slider, but because that's pretty crazy. But honestly, I feel like if he's not really hitting him, why would you call it?
Yeah.
Personally,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, other than that, like if you're really pitching inside, like it would be pretty obvious if you're trying to, like if you would like be throwing by his head or you'd be throwing like by his like feet, like it would be purposely like trying to get him off. If it just misses, especially that late in the game and everything, you kind of just got to let him play it out.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't go head hunting on him. It wasn't like that far inside. It kind of just missed like right under his armpit area. It was kind of still at the letters, but obviously just incredibly inside. So it really just pisses me off because I've seen umpires and, just guys that feel like the game revolves around them. And, we saw it earlier in the year where Madison Bumgarner was getting his hands checked out for a foreign substance check. And it was the first inning. The ump literally isn't even looking down at his hand. He's just looking at Bumgarner, waiting for him to react. As soon as he does, tosses him from the game. So, I've said this a couple times. It's that umpires aren't doing themselves any justice to keep their jobs at this point. Robot umpires are coming. They're already testing them out in the minor leagues. It's becoming more and more of a common practice. And it's like, all right, these guys are saying, no, we still have a purpose to stay in the game. There's a reason why we're still in the game. And I'm like, all right, well then prove it. Be the examples that you want to be for the league and show them why you should still have a job. And they're doing precisely the opposite. And it makes no sense at least from a workplace strategy. If you're trying to keep your job, shouldn't you be trying to do the best possible job you can? I mean, if you're acting out like this, it's not going to go well for you. And they do this and it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how to say this. I'm old-fashioned. I like having the umpires. I like having like a human being behind the plate. But they're not doing, like you said, they're not helping their case. Like, I think robot umpires are gonna eventually come too. But as much as I don't want them to, as a player perspective, it's looking like it's time the way that they're acting.
No, yeah, you make a good point. I think it's going to end up going that way too. It just looks like it's going to be the case at this point. So I don't know. It's just been really frustrating so far. I don't know why they have to act the way they do. It's been ridiculous at this point. So hopefully they do fix this going forward. But unfortunately, this isn't just a major league issue. This is just kind of a baseball wide issue. And I say this because there was a clip that went viral this past weekend, and it was of Eastern Carolina University team that Bryant University swept in the beginning of the season. Just shouting out the Bulldogs right there. They swept them pretty well. So anywho, the Pirates were facing it was Coastal Carolina. And ECU center fielder Bryson Worrell, I believe is how you say his name. He hit a 3-run home run at the to cap off the 8th inning. However, when he was standing there admiring the shot, and this was a shot that he hit, the umpire behind home plate, Perry Costello, basically gets in this shot that would have been all over SportsCenter, and now it is for all the wrong reasons. And you can see him just shoving him along the baseline to get him to first base. And I was like, what are you doing, man? Because here's the thing. The umpire does that and nothing happens to him. If a player, God forbid, puts his hands on an umpire, that's the end of that kid's season.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Like that kid's season is done. Like same thing in football too. You put your hand on a ref, you're gone from the game.
Yeah, immediately.
I mean, like, and so it's ridiculous that this is happening at this point. Like, I mean, I saw it happen and I was like, you got to be absolutely kidding me. So I guess the justification was that the catcher and, batters coming up to the plate were jawing. So the umpire basically said that he was doing that in a sense to, break up any potential fight that would happen. But I'm like, all right, your whole thing is to control the game. I get that. But to shove a player along and tell him to move it down the baseline. Listen, I'm a mix between old school and new school. I like the idea of playing tough, like how I said about certain guys not playing dirty. I like the hard-nosed baseball. If you diss my guy, I don't mind, intentionally throwing at a batter. I don't want anyone to get hurt and hit anyone in the head, but hit someone in the ass, like do whatever you do like that. It's fine. But like, I also like the new school of baseball too, to where you can have these bat flips and you can admire like these big, like, these big home runs and, do all this. I do admire that. So it's like, all right, cool. I just don't like the fact that it's gotten to this point now where the umpires are like, oh no, we can't do this. We have to, keep pushing back. And it's like, what are you doing, man? I don't know.
Yeah. I like the flair in the game. Like Tim Anderson, was it against the Royals when he had that bat flip that was all over every social media, Instagram, Sports Center? Like that gave baseball attention. Baseball doesn't get a lot of attention. So I don't get why Jose Bautista in 2015, 2016
still talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get why they don't just move on. It's the new way.
Yeah.
Let players be flashy.
And and here's the thing, but here they are taught essentially that, we are supposed to police the game this way. I understand that, but there's plenty of rules that they don't police as it is. I mean, they've talked about implementing a pitch clock into the game. There's already a rule in the MLB rule book that says once the pitcher takes the mound, he has to throw the ball within 20 seconds. They just don't enforce it.
Yeah.
So they've already chosen to selectively enforce some parts of the game anyways. So I'm like, why don't you just choose to not enforce like the rule that says, all right, you have to like, the batter can't do this, the batter can't do that. Let him do what he wants to do and just get over it. I mean, like baseball needs these moments of flair in order to grow the game, because it's not always going to be fast moving like basketball or like football. There are kind of like lulls in the game. So a lot of it has to kind of be done on this kind of showiness. Like a lot of like these bat flips are kind of what is going to drive the game. Obviously a big home run is going to be huge as well, but like these showmanship plays, like these guys making like the no look tags by Javier Baez, all this stuff like that. That's kind of what draws people to the game and says, wow, that looks really cool. I want to play that. So unfortunately, umpires have gotten in the way of that. It's been just really unfortunate, but Jaden, if you had to probably give your worst umpire experience story, what would that be?
This year against Quebec, oh my God, it was horrible. The umpire was calling strikes from chin high to lefty batter's box, ankles. Like his strike zone was huge and he wasn't consistent at all.
Oh my
God. He would call it for one team, then not give the other team the strike at the chin, but give them the strike like 4 feet outside.
Yeah.
A parent got tossed. A kid almost got tossed for drawing the line.
How did that kid not get tossed for drawing the line? How does that not happen?
That's pretty much.
I don't know. I did that in summer ball last year.
Oh,
I got tossed immediately.
That was for merchants?
No, that was for a tournament team.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was about to
didn't say a word, but it was about arm length outside, and I didn't say anything. I just drew my line and kept walking, and then just said, boom, you're gone. I was like,
oh my God. Oh, that's ridiculous. I mean, listen, I'm not, here's the thing too. I'm not for players like showing up umpires either, but like when they're doing a bad job though, that like it gets to a certain point.
Especially when it's late in the game and strike 3 calls matter.
And it becomes
you
consequential.
Be able to take a little bit of talk back.
No, exactly. I mean, I've played in games where, I've had my fair share of bad calls going against me. Frankly, sometimes when the umpire has that really big strike zone, I actually kind of like it in a weird sense, because I know that I can swing anywhere in the zone and my teammates aren't going to question me for, and I'm not going to walk back to the dugout and they're going to be like, why the hell did you swing at that pitch? It's not going to say that because they know, oh, that would have been called a strike. So there was a part of me that kind of liked it when the strike zone was really big like that. It was because I knew I could completely take the idea of, oh, is that a ball? Is that a strike? Like out of my mind, it was like, all right, just see ball, hit ball, just go for it. And I liked that in a sense, but it does get annoying and stuff like that. John, do you have any kind of bad umpire experiences that you remember? Or just bad refereeing experiences?
Yeah, there were a couple. I mean, and like for instance in football, there's a couple plays in our state championship game.
Yeah.
That were terrible calls. Like, actually we would have won 2 championships in a row.
Yeah.
So this guy, goes in the end zone, touchdown. He gets 1 foot down. And then as he's putting his second foot down, my teammate reaches in and hits the ball. And when he hits the ball and like everything, the ball like falls out, and they called it a touchdown anyways, even though he didn't get like complete control of the ball or whatever.
But isn't it only 1 foot in college though?
It is, but like he didn't have full control of it. Like he caught it with 1 foot and then like it like flew out. It was a controversial call. I mean, but they just gave it to them anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, we ended up losing regardless, but we only lost by 3 points, and that happened in the fourth with 1:30 left.
Yeah.
So our assistant coach got tossed because of that, but you know, it's all right because I mean, there's stuff like that. It like goes both ways sometimes. Just didn't for us, but stuff like that's okay. I mean, like it happens. It's part of the game. That's how I see it. Like it's part of just like, you know, some days not a good day for you, other days it's not. But then there's also, you know, like this instance for whatever with Eastern Carolina when the guy's just obviously just pushing him right down. Like that's just like.
And if that player turned around and like slapped him on accident or just said like, hey, get your hands off me, he's ejected from the game at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's just becoming like just more and more obvious. Like you can even see it in the NBA, just like with like a couple of the calls. When was it? I think it was game 2. Like Jaylen Brown, like did not touch Gary Payton Jr.
I mean, Grant Williams literally got tackled by Draymond Green and got a foul called against him.
Yeah, there's like calls like that you'll see, and you're just like, how even? So I mean, there's like obvious stuff, and then there's not obvious stuff, and there's kind of a line in between.
Absolutely.
I feel like.
No, there's definitely a line to be drawn. I mean, if I had a bad umpire experience, I mean, there's plenty of them. I'll tie it back into a connection that Jaden and I have, though. Jaden, I don't think you were on Merchants at this time, but it was with our summer club that we played on back in the day. I'm not eligible to play on it anymore for the past 2 years, but it was Millbury Merchants Senior Ruth, and we were playing Schultz over at Kendrick Field in Worcester, and I believe Wyatt Lucia is going to slide in. He's coming to slide into third base. And for anyone who knows this field in Worcester, the third base dugouts are literally like right on the third baseline. So you can see like you're within like 20 feet of the baseline. So you can see like every play like develop at third base. And we see a throw down from the catcher. Wyatt Lucia, who was the player, he's, you know, great player for Sutton baseball and great player for Millbury at the time. He slides into third base. And you literally see his foot touch the bag, and then the ball comes in the glove and you know, and tags him on the leg, and the umpire calls him out. And I remember our coach, Craig Allen, absolutely loses his mind at this. I mean, because
he doesn't do that often.
No, not often. And he sees the play, and all of us see the play develop at third base, and we see it happen. We're just like, what are you talking about? You got to be kidding me. And we were on a bit of a losing skid at this point, and that call cost us the game, and we went on to lose the game. And I remember, I think Wyatt got tossed from the game. Wyatt didn't get tossed. Wyatt didn't get tossed, but another player did. And basically it was a whole like scene because, you know, there was like 2 outs left there was like 2 outs left in the entire game. And the umpire said like, no, don't stay in the dugout. So he was starting to walk. He basically, I forgot which player it was, but he basically walked outside of the gate and just stood on the other side of the gate and just watched the last 2 outs happen, and then came back on the field and was like, you got to be joking. Like this, it was so ridiculous what was going on. And I remember after the game, our coach Craig Allen like just said, I'm calling the league. I'm making sure that you guys are never umping one of our games again, because this is ridiculous.
Yeah, that happened at Mass Maritime once. There was a play up the middle. This guy goes up to catch the ball and gets laid out by our strong safety.
Yeah.
Kyle, who's my friend. And instead of injecting Kyle, they eject the weak side safety, a completely different player who is not in the field, and ironically was our best player that year.
Wow.
They eject him from the game instead. So he's suspended for 2 games rather than our other guy who hit him clean in the numbers and everything else. So that was the weirdest thing I've ever seen called, is ejecting the wrong player.
Huh. That's
completely
crazy. I mean, usually you can get the penalty numbers wrong. There's no issue with that. I've never seen it to where they eject the wrong player and then stick with that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's absurd. I mean, obviously it's interesting how this all ties back into the refs, because the refs in game 2 of the NBA finals or something we were talking about, obviously, just refs in general can be just a lot to handle. So it's interesting that we kind of found a way to tie it all back together. Had a great time talking with everyone on the show today, but unfortunately we are now down to the wire, which means that we're going to wrap up what we talked about in this episode today and get you guys on your way. Obviously, we welcomed Mr. Jaden Palumbo onto the show. Jaden, glad to have you on the show, man. Thank you for coming on.
Here. Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll look to get you back on sometime in the future.
All right. Sounds good to me, man.
Absolutely. So after we brought Jaden on the show, we talked about the Celtics Game 3 victory over the Golden State Warriors. We talked about Draymond Green fouling out after saying he would receive preferential treatment for the refs. We talked about Steve Kerr and Klay Thompson's response to the Boston crowd, as well as Stephen Curry's injury late in the game. In baseball news, we talked about umpires injecting themselves into the game and becoming the center of attention. Whole game has kind of become a bit of an ump show, ref show, whatever you want to call it. It's been really ridiculous. So had two examples there that we talked about. We also talked about some of our own personal examples of umpires and refs and whatnot getting in our way. So obviously it was great time talking with both John and Jaden. John, thanks again as always for popping on as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. However, we do have to get going. So before we do that, though, if you're not falling down the wire at this point, what are you guys doing? We are available everywhere you guys can find podcasts, whether that be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. You can also find the video stream to this show on YouTube, and you can find all the links in our Instagram bio at down.tothewire on Instagram. Again, at down.tothewire on IG. Thank you guys so much for watching. And from Down to the Wire, I'm Brian Costa.
John Warren.
I'm Jaden Palumbo.
And we hope you guys have a great time, great day. Take care and peace out.